Luke, in honor of you, I think what you said is you're just gonna be brutally honest and get to it. So let's get to it. Hot garbage. Talk to me.
Yes.
Did you expect the reaction that you got from that, or even more? How has that been? I think you've been having some fun with it. How's that whole thing been? The reaction to you, talking about the SAS Toronto game, I believe it was, and calling that game hot garbage, and the reaction to that.
Yeah. So first off, both you guys, I appreciate you giving me this platform. So I want to come on and say that. Chez, I think you know me a little more than Mill. So like I liked some, animated language. The term I regret using is not actually that. It was junk football, which we can get to in a sec, because I think that got misconstrued. But where I was coming from is like I'm at the game, right? And I'm new to Friday night football, but I'm not new to Canadian football, and I'm not new to pro football. And I'm like, man, this game is tough. This game is tough. Like there was a million penalties. There was a ton of quarterback sneaks. And like I feel comfortable comparing the leagues with you two. I don't online because I think I should be able to like say something about the CFL and not automatically assume that I want it to change to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But where I got lost was like, I'm like, dude, that's a tough Friday night. Not a big crowd. Okay, now that's Toronto, and I get that. But it's like we got to talk about the truth. Not a big crowd. Outside of a couple early drives, it was very, very snooze fest. Ton of penalties. Game felt like it took forever. And I'm like, then we get to the point where it's like, okay, Alford has a sick kick return. And I'm sure we'll get into a lot of things. The 2 minute drive. And then like for me, when I hear that the Argos don't have enough guys on the field, it does take away from the kick return. I'm not saying the kick return wasn't
Sure,
great,
sure.
but I'm like, bruh, it would have been a lot better in my head if I knew that the Argos had 12 people on the field.
Right.
It
Right.
goes
So
from a great play to a mistake. Yeah.
correct. And now all of a sudden I go online afterwards and I'm like, why is everything that I'm reading, everything, this is why the CFL is the greatest. This is awesome. What an electric ending. And I'm like, well, to be honest, the game was hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what's tough about it, and I got
And
no, I'm
sorry, how
jumping all over
long
the
ago
map.
after the game ended?
I think I
Did you
was
send
at
that
home
tweet?
when I wrote it.
Okay,
Sometimes I'll write stuff and then I'll read it. Sometimes, not all the time. And then I'll
sure.
be like, I need to like clear this up because Twitter is a wild place now. Like it gets misconstrued here. So I'm not exactly sure when I sent it, but I definitely wrote it that night
Does
because I was
anybody
annoyed.
does anybody please continue with this, but does anybody in
Yes.
your family or your close circle tell you give you like the 24-hour cool off rule like coaches used to tell us, like, hey, before you jump on social media, before you say something, like give it 12 hours or 24 hours to cool off? You have anybody in your team that gives you that one, or
I would say my agent, who's also a very good friend of mine, would just prefer that I didn't do it at all. Okay. But
all right, so you sent
yeah.
it. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
sent
so I
it and the
sent it.
reaction. Yeah.
So this is where again, it might be a bit long-winded, boys. I apologize, but I'm like, and again, I don't mind comparing the two leagues with you guys. But like if you look at the National Football League, okay, and Ches, you, me, and both have done this numerous times. If it's a bad game, I am coming out and calling it a bad
Right.
game.
Right.
I am on
Right.
Jay Onwright's desk. At one point, I think, and it was jokingly, there was a time where there was like 7 straight bad Thursday night games, and I
I
spread
remember
again
that.
jokingly that I think it's a shot at Jeff Bezos. They're giving him the worst games of all time because Amazon owns. Okay, like it was terrible. You look at the Tush Push. People are trying to get it banned in the NFL. How many talk show times have we heard of like the Tush Push shouldn't be here, and then it's this big debate of whether it's good football, whether it's bad football, whether it's good for the game. And the reality is, you talk about the Tush Push. I'm like, the conversation is probably good, whatever side of the Tush Push you're on. So I come out here and I'm like, listen, if you're trying to get millennials, which is what I am, and you're trying, especially in the city of Toronto,
Right.
okay,
Right.
if I go to a game and I watch the game, yeah, the game's not good. I don't want to go online afterwards and hear everybody chanting, "This is the greatest game." Because you're going to be like, man, there's such a wild disconnect between what I'm watching, what I'm digesting, and what is being reported on it.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Mm-hmm.
like what got strange for me, and if I can just keep going on this, and I said
Keep
I
going.
regret using the term junk football. I should have said bad ball because, and I don't know how you guys, if this is my era, your era, whatever, bad ball is a very common term used amongst players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's been numerous times where I myself have played bad ball. And bad ball to me can be anything from penalties, alignment issues, drop balls. I'm talking about myself now. Okay. Not seeing the coverage right. Hey, didn't pick up the front and block the wrong guy. Bad ball to me is, yo, we've got a slide protection here. We should have shifted the other way. I'll go to week 1. Okay. If your guy, Noel Thorpe, lines with a 7-up look, and all of a sudden 2 dudes rush, and we don't block one of them, 5 drop out, that's bad ball. This is pro ball. We need to have accounted, okay, if we're going to shift here, I'm hot here. This is like, it's not 101, it's advanced pro ball. I get that. But if 2 dudes rush the quarterback and one is a free hitter, it is bad ball. To me, junk football and is interchangeable with bad ball. Like I've played a lot of junk football. Junk football to me is, you know what? We really got nothing cooking offensively. Let's just throw up a prayer. Hope for the best. You feel me? Hey, we're not really
Yeah.
reading anything at the quarterback
Yeah.
position. We're just sitting here going, you know what? Buddy's down there somewhere. Yock him. Okay.
Right.
Milt Siegel's running down the field, bro. I'm not reading nothing. I'm just throwing it. Okay.
I
And
agree
Milt,
with you.
if it's you, Milt, okay, it's different because you're arguably the greatest player to ever play in this league. Okay. And I'm not, this is no disrespect to the Saskatchewan Roughriders or the Toronto Argonauts that night, but Milt Stegall in his prime ain't on the field. And that's no disrespect to anyone out there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like sitting here and I'm like, bro, there's this huge, everyone wants to beat this drum of like, let's build the CFL, let's build the CFL, let's build the CFL, let's grow the CFL. It's a great product, it's great players, which I agree. There's a lot of talented dudes. Kenny Lawler, I don't know if we can get into him. Kenny Lawler could be on any NFL team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
agree.
we got all this stuff, but all of a sudden the media, and that goes to local, that goes to everyone, doesn't really want to call it how they see it. So I should have said bad ball than junk football because it got contorted that I'm calling the CFL junk. And I'm like, if you
Yep.
read that tweet, under no point did I say the CFL is junk.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you can't really have your cake and eat it too here, CFL fans. Y'all want this league to take the next step, but then the moment somebody in the media was like, hey, that's bad football, that's junk ball, that game is hot garbage. Okay, again, I hate using the comparisons, but if you look at the National Football League, you cannot tell me, and Ches, you and me have sat there with Kara Wagling and been like, that is bad. And we'll say the opposite. That is good.
Right. Yep.
So
Yep.
Absolutely.
when you asked me if the tweet took, it took off in a world I didn't expect. And I didn't mind that. I did mind when all of a sudden it's like, I've got somebody from their burner count being like, this guy's trashing the CFL. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you really
Me.
read what I'm
That was
saying,
you, Chaz.
It
That
was
was
me.
you. Huh?
It was me.
so is that, and feel free to push back, boys. Feel free to push back.
Yeah, I got some follow ups, not pushback, but I got some follow ups. Yeah, you
Well,
got something on this
I
note?
just want to make one quick point. And to your point, the thing about the CFL is the gift and the curse that every single game is nationally televised. And
100%.
during the course of a week, we have 3 or 4 games, and every single game is nationally televised. When in the NFL, you may have 16 games. Somebody has a bye, they have 14 games, and there's only a few games that are nationally televised. So there are some games that are horrible that only locally are going to be viewed. Where in the CFL, every single game, everyone across the country can put
Prime time.
eyes on it. And when you have those bad games, and there's been some bad games, we totally agree with you. There's been some garbage games. Sometimes they're not even up to par to being garbage. And we have no problem with them being called out. Chaz and I and other people on the panel have called them. There are some diehards, not only fans, but some media also who refuse to call them out. And that's where we see the problems are. So we definitely agree with you in some cases, but there are some times where we have to somewhat call out the great things that are going on in the CFL also.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree with that more. And what's tough about Twitter as I'm learning is I do feel like I put some positive stuff out there quite a bit. But the problem is those don't get 300,000 views. Those get 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
still
Yep.
pushing, and
Isn't
I've
that
had this chat with.
isn't that a sad state of the world though?
Correct. So it's like I go out here and there's been a couple plays, or I'm crunching some film and I'm like, yo, look at this play. This is sick. Hey, look at this. This is great. And like people are watching it, but it doesn't get 100 comments. It doesn't get
Nope.
45,000
Nope.
people. And all of a sudden,
Nope.
and this is where another one that grinds my gears a bit when everyone's like, well, he's a hot take guy. I'm like, not really. I'm watching the film. I'm watching the all 24. My stuff's coming from the all 24 diehards. I'm not just being like, you know what?
Right.
The Hamilton fan thing, that one, if we get into that I am poking the bear a bit there. But okay, I'm like, these aren't really like opinions. These are coming
Well,
from watching the
yeah,
film.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
not that can't. To your point, if it's stuff you're talking about that you're watching on all 24s or you're dialing it up, that can't be a hot take. That could be educated
Contra-
opinion. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. I had a follow up for you. I thought what you said. This was in a couple of the questions I wanted to ask you, and you just mentioned it, so I'll bring it up now. The media and when there's bad ball and the reluctancy of media to talk about that bad ball. Why do you think that is? You've been like we've been around the league a long time. You've watched it, from a distance for a while. Now you're immersed in it. But why do you think the media, including our own team, as we're the major part of the media in this country, why do you think there's a hesitancy to call
Well,
out bad ball and always find the good
I
side of things?
think there's a couple things, and you guys are going to have to, again, please, boys, please push back if you disagree. But I think part of it is there's a bit of like an aura around the CFL that it's like this kind of family atmosphere, which
Mm.
obviously there is, and we say that about the National Football League too. Like, but at the end of the day, everybody who even comes one arm's length of the NFL knows that that is a business.
Yes.
And to me, those lines get a lot more blurred in the CFL. All the way from the point that, like, and I love that they do this, but I remember my first Friday in Ottawa, I'm on the field after the game with Dwayne Ford. Shout out, he's the GOAT, dude. I love that guy. I love that guy. Okay. And Rod Smith, the Godfather. And I said to Rod and Dwayne, I'm like, whoa, what is everybody doing on the field? And they're like, oh, that's what they do in Ottawa. And I'm like, and it's great and it's cool. And I'm glad that it drives, but it also creates this weird dichotomy where I'm like, going back to my experiences, and please, if you're listening to this, I am not saying that my experiences are better. Okay. I'm not saying the NFL is better in this regard. But there's like 9,000 security people on the field to make sure that nobody comes on the field because there's a
Right.
pretty strict
Sure.
separation
Sure.
of the professionalism and like,
Sure.
hey, this is an atmosphere of whatever. Again, I feel like I gotta mince words sometimes where I'm like, it's an atmosphere of like, hey, after the field on my 18-year-old team, the families come on the field. So that I think is part of it where I'm like, the lines seem a bit more blurred in this league.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I think that it's just kind of the way it's always been.
Well,
Yes,
I'll say one quick thing. The CFL, without the fans, there's no CFL. If the
yeah,
fans don't show up to the games, there's no CFL. The NFL doesn't need their fans, evident by the fact that they were able to play during COVID. We weren't because we don't have fans. So we're trying to make this as fan-friendly as possible. The players are connected to the fans like no other. And I know you don't understand this because you didn't play in the league, but CFL practices, the fans are at there. They're basically on the sideline. They're basically on the field. That's how connected they are. So that's the big reason why they try to keep it as fan-friendly as possible.
I feel that, Mel. But I guess where my thing is like, and I don't know what kind of rabbit hole we want to get into, but there's just not that
Go
many
down the
fans
rabbit
showing
hole.
up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I hear you.
especially like my era, my generation, even younger than me, it's like not very many 23, 24-year olds going to practice.
No.
And
There's
I'm
not.
not
No.
saying to cancel that.
Everyone that was at practice. So I would say in my time playing, a lot of the same people, and this would be the same for you, I'm sure, Milt, often the same people at practice every day or every week,
Mhm.
you know. And
Totally.
it was usually like a nice old lady that would bring cookies and bake stuff for the people, or like, you know, a retired guy. It wasn't 22-year-olds, to your point. Yes, 100%.
And like, is there a world where like after the game, even in Ottawa, I'm just thinking of me and my boys. If me and my boys are in Ottawa, they have a weekend there. They end up going. They're probably going to that Joey's and is it Lansdowne as soon as that game ends, and like we're having a night out Friday night. Where it's like I'm glad that they do stuff like that. Again, I'm not saying to take that away, but it's like if the only thing we're doing is cater to the select fans that are going to practice, going to this, going to like, it's like, how do we grow this game to the next level? That would kind of be like my question.
Yeah. You talked about the media and asking about the media not,
Yes.
not wanting to criticize the game. And to honestly, the first time you said that, Luke, and you said, I'm going to be brutally honest for the first time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I actually took a little bit of offense to that. And not like a
Okay.
personal, like, I'm mad at Luke Willson, but me and Milt I think we've actually gotten in trouble or had pushback from people inside, or not, people that are also working in the CFL world don't like, because we would often say it comes to halftime, and people can attest to this that all the time. We'll come to halftime, we'd be like, that was a terrible half. That stunk. Like we say that, and actually got pushback because of that. So when you said, I'm finally going to say, I'm finally going to be honest, I think that me and Milt in particular have been pretty honest. But again, I understand where you're coming from in regards to a lot of media in our world of CFL not being able to accept, some things are what they are, and not and always trying to see things with a glass half full. Which
Mm.
when the game is hot trash, we should be able to say it's hot trash, because I don't think, and this goes for the media folks that are covering it, I don't think you're helping the game by saying the game is good, or saying this guy's a world class athlete when I damn sure know he's not.
Mm-mm.
I don't think you're helping the game. I actually think you're taking credibility away from the game. And we've actually had this conversation, Milton and I, a lot. And so I'm glad you're saying it, but we've been on this as
Yes.
well.
Yep.
And that's part.
Jez, if I
Yes.
can jump in, what you just said is the way more professional, articulate way of saying what I'm trying to say. Okay. I'm just being a jackass about it. Okay. That's the truth. Okay. And I know that I'm doing it. But what you just said, I couldn't be more aligned with. Like, in there are things like when I say like I'll be the first guy to ever tell the truth out of CFL. For those who know me, know that I'm being a jackass. They can, you know what I'm saying? They know that. Where I'm like, but the kind of underlying or the undertone is there. And to further your point, Chess, like, and I don't know, I might get a phone call on this one, but like I remember doing a top 10, okay, on Jay's desk. And it was like top 10, something to do with football. Okay. And right before him, this was recorded, so it wasn't live. You got your earpiece in. And it's like, hey, there's a couple, not Jay's sitting beside me, voice in the back. There's a couple CFL clips on here. Do not say anything bad about them. And I'm like,
Why are they saying that to you? Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, first off, they're in
Right.
a top 10. What am I going to say? But I'm like, if that's, what we're doing, I'm like, how about I just say whatever I feel like I do with every other thing that I say on Jay's show. And you can hate it, you can love it, you can take it how it is, you can turn the channel, you can watch more. Like, it's going to be authentic. You feel me? So to kind of further your point, I have
Yeah.
not nearly done the work in the lifetime that you two have on the CFL, either playing nor being in it. But like, I can only imagine when you're getting pushback, and now all of a sudden my dumb ass comes in here, and I'm like, well, I'm going to talk the truth, and I'll be the first guy ever to say it. And don't get it twisted now. It hasn't been bad, but I have gotten some calls here from the powers that be that are like, yo, you better walk that line pretty straight, big dog. Don't fall off the edge.
Right.
So I do
Yeah.
think I understand
Okay.
the dynamic a bit. And I,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more than what you just said,
Okay.
Chaz. I'm just like, and again, I honestly believe that by talking about the game, whether it's a slight bit of an argument or a disagreement, it's great for the game.
Yep. I agree.
Also, I'll throw this in very clear. My producers on the panel producers have never once, and I haven't been around as long as Milt has, so Milt, you can speak to this, have never once told me, hey, you can't say that when I'm saying something negative or calling it out or saying this half sucks or saying, they've never once told me, hey, you can't say that. I'm talking about the panel producers. Not to say people in the CFL world that may be around the broadcast have not at times, fought back on, pushed back on some things that are said, but our actual people that are controlling our show at the panel have never once told us we can't say something.
People on the panel, maybe, but no, I'm just.
There's some people in the world that don't like what we're saying, but they've never, we have never been muzzled in that regard. I just want to make that clear because not that you were saying it, but I think people listening, I think it's good for them to know that because I agree that it's anyway. We'll move on. Milt, what do you got, bud?
Growing up, you were born in 1990, and give me your honest answer on this. Who did you know playing in the CFL when you were growing up?
Pinball Clemens, you, and G. Roy Simon.
That's pretty much it, huh?
Yeah. Now, in fairness, Windsor, I grew up, and I'm not probably an 18-minute drive. Back then, it was longer because it was a Pontiac Silverdome. So now you're talking about an hour. But right now, when Ford Field was built, I grew up I could get, depending on the bread traffic, I could get to Ford Field in probably 22 minutes. So Windsor is a pretty big Lions town, not pretty big, very big because of proximity. But if you wanted to ask me as a kid, my favorite player was definitely Pinball Clemens.
And who did you know? Who did you know growing up in the NFL? How many players, or how? You don't have to say the players, but how many? You knew a bunch of players in the NFL, right?
No, I wouldn't say so. I would say I was a huge Lions fan. So, I would sit there on Sundays, Herman Moore, Johnny Morton. I had Barry Sanders shoes. Unfortunately, I play nothing like Barry Sanders. We're very different style athletes.
Yes. But it's safe to say you were more NFL guy than the CFL guy, correct?
For sure.
So my question is, how do we get the Luke Wilsons of now and the Luke Wilsons of the future to be Canadians, to be more into the CFL? There's nothing wrong with being in NFL, but how do we get that Generation Z to be involved in the CFL? And you're involved in the CFL now. What changes need to be made?
So I know I keep saying this, in one of the pet peeves I get online from what I like to call the numpties, okay, is they always blame marketing. And a lot of it, then they take ricochet bullets at TSN. And I'm like, bro, it's not TSN. Okay. Sure. Can every organization clean something up here or there, whatever? But Milt, to answer your question, it's the on-field product. So where I go is man, you look at that, I'll go to last Friday night. You go to BMO and the stadium is dead. I was shocked, and I know I took a couple shots at Hamilton fans, but I'm like, bro, Kenny Lawler now I am a big Kenny Lawler guy. I did play with him for a year.
Right.
So I want to be very clear here. I played with him in Seattle for a year. Okay. I do not know Bo Levi, but I'm very familiar with him because he went to Katy High School, which is in Houston. One of his very good friends was my college roommate from Katy. And then he started at SMU, which is kind of Rice's rival.
Right.
Okay. And we're the same age, I believe. So I'm like, dude, Bo's clearly a thrower in this league. This dude can sling it. Kenny is clearly a very, very talented receiver. I'm like, these guys are really good at football, and I go up there and I watch that game and I'm like, dude, we get a pick, talking about Hamilton. Next play, which I love. You want to talk about great ball? This is a Pete Carroll thing. So this is kind of my thing. We get a turnover on the fringe, take a shot right away. Boom. We come in here. Milanovic has, I believe it was a 7-man protection with a back end to be an 8th, and he chipped on the way out. Okay. 8-man protection. Okay. We're going right to our big boy, Kenny. Boom. He plucks it off some dude's head. I'm like, this is sick. We come back later and we were able to get this done a little bit. I wish I cleaned up my hit a little bit. But is it Sluka is shading the boundary? Kenny got the skinny post. I think it was a back-end mistake because McFadden was still playing outside leverage. Okay. Bo Levi sees it. Great ball. Just leads him, lets him run under it. Boom. 76 yards right on your head. Okay. Turnowski's TD, you look at Kenny now, they're playing soft. Ches, you know how it goes. This dude's already put $120 and 2 TDs on us. We're backing up. We then run a little sail underneath, clear out sail, boom. Turnowski catches that, makes the man miss, tutty. Okay, later on, now can't do that. Milanovic in his bag right now. Kenny's out of control. We're going to try and solo up Kenny. We run a go concept, sick throw, sick catch. So you ask like how we get these fans. I'm like, dude, these are the plays. This is the product. But then, Mill, if I could just keep going on this soapbox, you go on Twitter and the CFL has got the weirdest highlight thing I've ever seen because they got them zoomed in like this and you can't see anything. And I'm like, bro, what am I missing here? Like, and I might have raised that question the other day to the powers that be. Like, can we get real highlights can you talk to the league so that it's not half of the screen so people can see what's going on? I'm trying to watch the Red Blacks punt return and it's zoomed in. You know, I'm like, dude, these are the things to me, and I know that not everyone agrees with this, but I'm like, if you get more consistent play, and obviously there's going to be bad games, but you get more consistent play like that, I think people will come watch him, Mill. Because to me, everybody loves watching football.
So you're saying consistent play, meaning they need better players on the field? Is that what you're assuming?
I'm saying they need better product. So when I say better players on the field, and this is where it gets a little strange here, but it's like, okay, I'm sitting here and I'll go like, yo, like, how does, this happen? How do we get to this point? And then I'm like, well, wait. This is coming from guys in the league that I'm calling, okay? Currently playing. Bro, it's about 50% dudes that want to play ball. 50% dudes that want to play ball, meaning like, hey, the 4.5 hours end and I'm staying. I'm watching film. The other half, I'm out of here. They're not paying me enough to stay here. And it's like, okay, now we're getting the union talk. But like some of the best meetings I ever had were with no coaches around, where it's like, hey, Russ has a Tuesday players only meeting. Here's things that I like. Here's what I'm doing. I got an hour-long meeting with just my tight end coach and 2 other tight ends. Okay, then we join the O-line afterwards. Hey, here are all the looks. Like football has evolved. And I this was a tweet that got lost on one of my things, but I'm like, football is a game of preparation. As much as it back in the day, it was like be physical, be a freak athlete, and it's still those things. But it's now a game of prep. And where I go is like, and I keep saying this, I don't think it's the talent. We can talk about that, and you guys can disagree. But I'm like, when you have, and you guys can maybe clear this up. Do we have 1 day off a week, 2 days off a week?
I can clear one thing up right now for sure. In the 11 years I played, and most of those were in Montreal, and those were championship teams, Grey Cup winning teams, or Grey Cup teams. The amount of days that we prepped before, like to your point, as a defensive back group or as a defense before practice or after practice, was probably 75% of the days that we're in there every day, except for maybe day one, or else maybe the walkthrough before the day before the game. Every other day in the middle, we're pretty much watching. We're staying late past the 4.5 hour rule together as a group and watching it. And you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but everybody stayed. Now on teams that are getting their doors blown off and have their coaches about to get fired, they got a bunch of boneheads on their team. Those guys might be bouncing, but those guys aren't. Those are not the Winnipegs and the Montreals and the good teams in the league. We literally met as a defense and as a defensive backfield on our own without coaches after the 4.5 rules every day.
So, and you just said, how good were those teams?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So when you guys strolled out there, you put a product out there that people come watch.
Yeah.
And it, like, as much as I want to, you can say like it's talent. I don't think it's talent. And like now this gets into the next rabbit hole, which is like, now we got to talk about like the ratio and oh, well, this guy's not getting paid enough to be here. And I'm like, to me, if you're not getting paid enough, you should be in there longer so that you do get paid enough. You feel me? If you're not happy with what you're getting paid, what's not going to help? Just punching the clock every day. That's kind of the attitude I go through. So basically, it's like situational ball is another thing that I'm like, I watch this league and like I love situational football. Maybe not everyone loves situational football. But what I mean by that is like, hey, what are we doing here? Yo, we got the ball back, and I know the 3-minute rule's different, but it's like we're at the ball back, we're up 6. 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Hey, like, does our playbook shrink? Yo, I know it's only 20-second play clocks, but hey, every second matters. In case we haven't seen this, I think you talk to BC and Montreal right now, 1 second matters, don't it? Okay? So it's like, yo, can we get this ball snapped at 3 seconds? You know, we don't want to cut it close, but like, we don't want to snap the ball at 7. We want to snap the ball at 3. Okay, how are we doing this? Make sure we stay in bounds. You know, that one time you fought for 2 extra yards in 4-minute mode and went out of bounds, no bueno. Hey, you know, just little things. I'm going to the U18 London Junior Mustangs practice tonight. We're in the semifinals, by the way, boys. And you know what we're working on? We got a bye week. Okay, we're working on playing a slide, end of the game. Hey, what's our field goal kicker's distance? Yo, 6 seconds left, and you saw BC execute this to perfection.
Yes.
To perfection. Boom,
Yes.
quick slant, get down.
Yeah.
Okay? It's Canada. We get the 0. As long as you get down before it hits 0, we get that play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, to me, that was another thing that took a crazy thing, was like the Canadian 3-minute ordeal, where I'm like, I didn't say, at no point did I say that I want the American 2-minute rules. But like, was that 2-minute drive in the Saskatchewan-Toronto game really electric? I wouldn't say so. I would say that the 2-minute plays Nathan Rourke was pulling off against Montreal, I love that. Boom, that is great ball. That little slant, and I was very shocked that Montreal wasn't like, yo, play a regular defense. Maybe play a cover 4 up top, but like, get in these boys' faces here. Make it tough.
Quick slant, you lose the game.
Okay, and they lost the game.
Right.
So like, that's where I come from when I'm like product, where I'm like, the more time we can spend in the film room, on the practice field, you know, and whether that's regulated or not regulated, I'm just like, and then to keep going here, Milt, is like the first thing I said when I got to Montreal on first Friday. Chez, you were there. I'm like looking around and I'm talking to the CFL guru, okay, who I really like, Chris Edwards. Like, sometimes I think he wants to strangle me, but I love the guy. And I'm like, Eddie, I go, where are all the coaches? He goes, oh no, this is it. I go, this is it. I got the depth chart, and I'm like, I'm trying to go into like receivers coach, you know, all the way down the list, because I kind of want to know, like, hey, where are these guys coming from? What's their background? What's going on here? You guys know how it is. Like, hey, this guy's going to bring this flair. And all of a sudden it's like, no, man, these boys are capped. We decided that we're going to cap personnel. And I'm like, again, I talk product, and I'm like, so when I go back to my own experience.
For those who don't know, there's a coach's cap. You can only
Right.
have, I think it's 11 coaches or whatever it is
Yes.
on that coach's caps, which takes away the number of staff, assistant coaches, strength coaches, which helps the product. But it's continue.
There's a salary coach's cap too. There's a salary
salary.
involved with that too. So yeah.
So
That's
I think about my day, and you guys are gonna laugh, but it's like, okay, so my tight end coach did red zone short yardage. Goal line short yardage. So on Thursday when we would meet, it's like his whole thing is to put in that package and give us that information. So it's like, boom, he comes up there and, you know, he's strolling up there. They got music. Pete would have the music going, be like, yo, like, here's the red zone short yard stuff. And it's like, okay, if we go to 13 personnel, we're expecting man 100% of the time. Haven't shown anything. Boom, clip, 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 clip. Okay, this is the plays we're going to run. We want to rub route here. We're going to run the ball here. We're going to go on an option here, etc. Okay, third down is our assistant receivers coach, not our receivers coach. Our assistant receivers coach is breaking down, hey, 3rd and 3 to 6. We're expecting 3 fire zones 60% of the time. I'm sitting there like this, boom, got it. So now I'm out there in the game and I'm like, all right, 3rd and 3 to 6. Like, there's a 6 out of 10 chance the fire zone's coming here. And like, Milt, you can talk about this again as an offensive guy. That's kind of nice to know.
It is. Yes.
So like when I talk product, and again, this is where I think Twitter is taking a mind of its own. Everyone's like, talent. It's the talent. It's the talent. And I'm like, if Milt Stegall walks in and has one coach tell him what they're going to play him in, most likely, you never know, in red zone short yardage or goal line short yardage. You have another coach tell you like, hey, Milt, here's every breakdown, or this is what we've got on the games we've broken down on your red zone. Here's your fringe coverages. Hey, let's keep going now. Okay, base downs. Boom, this is what you're most likely going to see.
all the way to backed up. Hey, here are the O-linemen, here are the fronts. And every guy has a different thing here. When you have 3 O-line coaches, you can deviate these tasks. So then I'm like, oh, like CFL don't have that luxury.
Luke, let me pause you for a second.
Yes, please.
You got to take off those NFL glasses. You got to take off those NFL glasses.
Why?
And
Why,
I know where
Will?
you're coming from because you're talking about 40 million people that live in Canada compared to 340 million people that live in the States. The NFL is in this lane, and in the NFL lane, there's a bunch of cars. There's young cars, there's old cars, there's millions of cars. The CFL has its lane. There's cars, but there's not that many cars compared to the NFL. There's totally 2 different lanes. You're talking about money galore over here compared to it's okay. You got to take off those. I had to do it when I first got to the CFL.
I feel you.
I had to. And I know it's tough, but you can't compare those 2 leagues. You can't.
But Milt, let me say this, and I said this like before I even signed on to CFL, and this is the funniest thing I think I've ever said. I think hockey sucks right now. Okay, and where I'm going with this, you turn on a regular season hockey game, it's the biggest hot garbage out there. I mean, the worst product basketball. No one's even watching basketball anymore. So like where my head goes here, Milt, and I put this out there probably 6 months ago. I'm like, it'll never be the NFL. I get that. But this is the moment for me where the CFL can bridge that gap. Where maybe you don't have 3 O-line coaches, but you got 2. Maybe you get an extra, right now, the fullback, tight end, whatever you want to call it, almost every team is using. Hamilton's playing with a hand-down tight end. Okay? It's like
the football operations salary cap that they implemented a couple years ago is an absolute joke, and is terrible. Is terrible for our product. I've been saying that. I talked to coaches. I talked to front office people. It's terrible. Now it was strictly a bottom line thing because some teams who were making more money were able to get an advantage by hiring a bunch of coaches and staff because they were making money. But in what world? If I'm a successful businessman, I have a great restaurant. I can have more. I'm earning. I can have more staff, more marketing budget, more valet. I can have all these things because my company is profitable. So,
but the owners they agreed to this, though, right? Didn't all the owners agree to this?
Yeah, they vote on it. It was not unanimous. It was probably, I don't know what the vote was, but I'm certain the 3 teams that are making the most money would have probably said no, keep it the way it is, and the others doing math. 6 teams are saying get rid of it. So, but again, I don't think that's competitive. To your point, Luke, I'm agreeing with you guys here. In competitive business, why would you handicap somebody for having success? It's nonsense.
So yeah, and to tie us back in, Milt. So like, I want to be very clear here. Like, I don't think that there's a talent issue. I want to be very, very clear. Can we debate that? Sure. Okay, sure. Are there certain positions that I'd like to see a little tidied up? Sure. But in today's day and age, there's just not that many football players on planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, what I mean by that is like...
We're going to talk about those positions in a minute because I know where you're going, and we have
okay, and I would love to get into this.
On that.
I would love to get into this. But it's like, okay, like, and this is kind of my motivation. You want my, like, honest motivation with all this. People be like, oh, man, he's trying to troll. I'm like, I am a Canadian kid here. I didn't go to no U.S. prep school. I went to my local high school. We practiced with cut-up hockey jerseys on, okay? That's the truth. In the middle of a farm field in Sal, Ontario. My dad played in the OUA. Both my brothers played in the OUA. My brother's still coaching at a youth level. He's doing a heck of a job in London. I'm driving 2.5 hours a week, twice, game time, and I'm loving it. 18-year-olds. We're humming right now, boys. We're humming. We got 2 big games coming up. Okay, like
we'll use our platform to sell tickets to your games.
I don't know if we're getting too many ticket sales. I'll be honest, ticket sales might be low there.
Is it more than what Edmonton is getting right now?
Yeah, I wish I could say yes, but no. But it's like, man, I want to see this game. This game has given me so many opportunities. This country has. Okay, and I want to see it grow. And I honestly believe that we can start putting. And now people be like, you're nuts, but we can start pushing the hockey league. Like hockey is even at a youth level, the money involved to play youth hockey, it's criminal. You Y'all know what we need for football. You know, you need to come over to London Junior Mustangs. There is a registration fee, and you need a pair of cleats. We've given you everything else, big dog.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're good enough, Luke will buy you the cleats.
No,
But if you're hot trash,
I do give out
just
gloves. If you get
ass
player
out.
of the week for the league, I give out
Give out
some old
gloves.
game gloves.
There you go.
Yeah. So my whole thing with this is like, man, let's take the CFL to the next level. But sometimes the CFL just got to get out of its own way. Is that a take you guys can get along with, or not so much?
No, I'm on board. There's been plenty of times where I felt the CFL had opportunities to expand, not expand, but get better, and
Yes.
didn't take advantage of them. We speak of it all the time. Chaz and I and other people on the man, we speak of it all the time. How the CFL could be doing so much more to grow this league, and it's just remaining stagnant. So it better start growing, because as we've been talking about, the fan base is literally going to be dying out soon, and we're not going to have anybody watching or showing up to the game. So
Yeah.
it has to get going in the right direction if we want to continue actually being the league.
Can I add? I want to add to the chat we just had about the way the league is looked at, and I think this is something that we, the three of us, in talking to Milt, and then in hearing you the last month, Luke, I think we all agree. The CFL is the second best football league in the world. We all agree with that.
It's not even debatable.
No doubt, right? Yep. So why is it that we have this, and this would go to the question I asked earlier, Luke, about why some people, whether in media or have this inferiority complex about the league. Why is it that we're unable to say the words NFL? Like, people always want to, the diehard CFL faithful always want to say the CFL is a better game, or the CFL. Don't compare the CFL to the NFL.
There's no comparison.
There's no comparison. NFL is the number one, and these are three guys now who work on the main broadcast in the CFL, and the NFL is the best football league in the world, bar none, no question. I don't care what you talk about the rules. Okay,
stop. It's the best league in the world, not just the best football league. It's the best league professionally.
Exactly. There you go. So that being said, the issue lies with me where we lose credibility as a broadcast, as a network, as fans, as so-called some people who are experts, when you say that this is the best league in the world, or this is that is just not factual. And I think we lose a lot of the credibility that we could have by saying, hey, this is the second best league in the world. This is what we bring. It's a great product. We love it. I think people get turned off when they turn on the TV, or they turn on something. They have to hear somebody say that it's better than the NFL. It's more exciting. It's more this. It's more that. I think it's inferiority complex, and I don't think it benefits us at all. And I want to get your thoughts on that, and that would lean into also what we were saying about media being hesitant to talk negatively about it.
Mill, I'm telling you, man. See, Ches he's the seasoned professional of what I'm trying to say. He's way more articulate. He's way more, again, professional. He ought to be wearing a suit and tie right now. With
how many followers do you have on Twitter?
I don't know.
Maybe I need to learn to speak the way you are, and then I'll get my
be a little bit more reckless,
followers up to 185,000. There we go. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Ches, I don't really have much to say, because I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying.
Yeah, I think it benefits us to. How about this? What about I'll ask Milt this. I don't think I've asked Milt this question even. I'll toss this out to us. That the CFL as being thought of as a feeder league, as a farm league for the NFL. Thoughts on that? Because it's the reality is 95%, 99% of the guys in the CFL under the age of 30, their sole purpose, anyone that's actual player, their sole purpose, or one of their main objective, is to get a shot to make millions of dollars in the NFL.
100%. 100%.
It is in fact a feeder league, or a farm league, but people want to push. People want to fight. The old school CFL folks want to push away from that, and I don't understand. I don't understand why. I'm not saying you have to change the rules or anything, but why the reluctancy to be labeled as that? I think it benefits to have guys that are watch. I want to watch this guy because he's going to go to Buffalo next year. I want to watch this guy. He's in Detroit. This guy was in Detroit last year. Now he's playing for the Argos. I think that's good. That's good television, and that's good for the product to give these guys, spotlight them.
Let me make a point with that. And I'm thinking about majority of the people who say that. Majority of the people who say that are people who never experience the NFL. And I don't know if it's a jealousy thing. I don't know exactly what that is, but think about the individuals who say the CFL is the number one league. It's better than everything. Majority of the people who say that are individuals who never experience anything, nothing at all in the NFL.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I agree. I agree, boys. And like my dream, and maybe I'm nuts, but like you guys said it, and I was talking to a gentleman before the game Friday night, and he says, like, man, one of the coolest things I ever did was go down to Lambeau Field. Okay, go check a game there. And like when I was driving home, I was like, you know what, man? Wouldn't you love to hear, and I think it happens in Saskatchewan, but wouldn't you like to hear like somebody be like, man, one of the coolest things I've ever done is go to, I know it was Ivor Wynn and Tim Hortons, I think now it's Hamilton Stadium, and experience that crowd. One of the coolest things I did was like go to Mosaic or Princess Auto. I have heard Princess Auto gets nuts.
Yes.
So like,
You almost cussed Milt or Luke. You're not allowed to cuss in front of Milt.
sorry,
you're allowed
Milt.
To cuss on this,
I caught myself. I caught myself.
Make sure when you go to Princess Auto, you go to gate 1. That's the best gate there, I promise.
Okay.
Gate number 1.
But like, I'm with you when it's like, hey, as far as a feeder league goes, Ches, like, I don't have too much to say because like I don't feel qualified enough to like talk. Like where I get nervous is like, do I want guys to have the best opportunity to play in the NFL? Of course. But if that means like, hey, like I'm not gonna stick on this like product of the CFL, like we can't have guys sliding back and forth because this is another huge gripe I have with the CFL. Huge. Okay. These 1-year contracts. Okay. You want to talk about product? And Milt, I'm gonna push this to you. Okay.
Yep.
You tell me as a receiver how nice it is to have a quarterback that you've played with for 5 years.
Yep. Oh, it's humongous. I mean, I played with the same team for 14 years. The same team.
Why can't you guys time out? Why can't you guys have guys sliding back and forth?
I just think that at that point it's like, hey, I mean, sliding back and forth like it was after the season, but if it's like, hey, if it's a feeder league like true minor league baseball or something like that, where it's like,
call-up system or something?
Correct, where it's like,
no,
oh,
I don't
man.
mean like that. No,
okay, just make it. No. That's where I get
sorry. I mean it more clearly as a
window, like negotiation stuff.
We embrace trying to get. We embrace as a network, as TSN. I think we should dive into. We should embrace the fact that this guy's played 3 weeks. He's young. He's got an NFL frame, and he's going to get a shot. And every week as it goes along, and we should talk about that story that this guy's getting calls from Detroit and Washington, and this team's looking at this team as we watch him in the league. Instead, and this I will speak to, I've been told before by folks on our team that tell me that why you bringing up this guy potentially leaving the NFL? He's ours right now. We have him. Why don't we enjoy him? Why were you bringing that up? Well, I'm bringing that up because it's a good story, and we want to build stars. Well, if the guy's going to the NFL, he has a chance to be a star.
He has a chance to be a star.
Talk about that, but that's the mentality that some of our coverage has that we've been talking about for a long time. That folks are afraid to say the N-word, NFL, and it just doesn't make any sense in regards to what we're trying to build. It's an inferiority complex. It doesn't benefit anybody, and we have the second best football league in the world that's embracing it. But let's also help the synergy between the two leagues, because we just look like we're salty by not speaking about the other league.
Milt, once again, man, Ches
Let's
ought to be
stop it.
operating my Twitter. I wouldn't have 30,000 people coming to try and kill me right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, good. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's get real quick. And I know you've mentioned this before about possible rule changes, and I know there's some changes I would love to see implemented. But we want to hear, what do you think? What rule changes do you think would help the game?
I gotta be. This is where I get nervous here, man, because I
Don't get
know that
don't get
I know
nervous
that
now.
there's about
Don't get
because
scared now.
I know there's probably about 200 Twitter trolls that are
Don't get
loading up the
scared
bow and
now.
arrow right now and got it pointed right at my head. I actually, for the record, I like the Rouge. I don't like the out of the end zone Rouge.
I hate the Rouge. I hate the Rouge.
Really,
I think it's the worst. I think it's
the
the
whole thing.
worst. I hate the whole thing. There's no way you should be getting you're getting rewarded for failing.
So
How
here's
does
my
that
thing.
happen?
Here's my thing. I think I'm similar with you. I don't mind if it's like for me, the punt situation. It's like, bro, so let me get this straight. We drive down to the 40. You know, it's a windy day, and now your punter kicks it, and it goes out of the end zone 2 yards, and like we were on the 40, and they get the ball in the 20. Like, we might as well have just taken a shot at that point. So, like, I don't mind it from, like, a punt standpoint. The field goal thing is absurd.
It's even worse. I've lost a game
I-
on somebody punting the ball out of the end zone.
Okay.
That is horrible. What
Well,
if that was to happen in the Grey Cup? That
I
would be
got,
the worst. That would be
dude, I gotta
horrible.
tell you something. I gotta tell y'all boys something, man. Okay, so this, obviously, I'm back new to the Canadian game. Played it in high school. My first game coaching. It was the only game we've lost this year. We have an awful offensive performance. We're playing the Hamilton Junior Ticats, okay, who just got bumped. They were the 1 seed, got knocked out in the quarters. It's 7-7. They get the ball and line up for a field goal with no time left, or 7 seconds. The kid misses it by a lot, but booms it out the back of the end zone, and we lose 8-7. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. And I thought it was like, man, this is the
lining up
football
for
gods
overtime?
being like, welcome back to Canada, big dog. But like, Milt, I agree. Like, and to me, that's one where like, hey, it can certainly be adjusted. And I don't think like people are going to leave the game because we adjusted the. Okay. Now, the big one for me, okay, and this is going to cause some, and I don't know how you shape this, is the quarterback sneaks. And obviously, quarterback sneaks are a part of the game. And I get, again, people be like, he hates quarterback sneaks. I don't hate quarterback sneaks. I want to be very clear. Oh, he doesn't understand there's a yard neutral zone. I understand there's a yard neutral zone. I understand why every offensive coordinator brings in their fullback or their backup quarterback, their third string guy, and runs it. Because the successful percentage with the yard neutral zone is a huge ordeal. Okay? We run it in the London Junior Mustangs. But my point is, if you're trying to get new fans in the game, and not every game is like this, but if you have 12 quarterback sneaks in a game, and I'm calling QB sneaks with the tight end, same thing. It's just not that entertaining. It's just not. So it's like, hey, is there an answer? I don't think you can ban quarterback sneaks. But it's like, talk to me, Ches.
I have an answer.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Dave Naylor about this the other day. He's talking about the 1 yard off the ball. Like, it takes away the sense of urgency. If you get to 2nd and 7 or 8, let's say you get to 2nd and 8. Now all of a sudden you're guaranteed to get a first down. You sneak the ball twice, you get a first down. It takes away the sense of urgency on 2nd and 10.
2nd and 2, yeah. 2nd and 2, yes.
2nd and 2.
Yes,
Okay.
as long as you're not stupid. Some coaches like to somehow hand the ball off the backfield. Some guy shoots a gap and gets tackled for a loss. Now you're 3rd and 7. That's ridiculous. I would never. If I'm a coach, if it's 2nd and 2 in the CFL, I'm sneaking it twice every time.
See,
Right, every time.
and you'd be right to do so.
Right.
Yeah.
So exactly. So and you're right. Now we're taking up how many plays a game? 15 plays a game of quarterback sneaks. It also takes away if it's 2nd and 10. We know where the sticks are. It's not really 2nd and 10. It's 2nd and 8. Or
Right.
2nd and 7.5, because you get to there.
Right.
So it takes away a sense of urgency. To your point, Luke, it adds 12 quarterback sneaks a game, which wastes time. I say this: you don't just change the rules to change the rules. And I'm all for tradition. I've been again, I've been in this game. Has gave me everything in my life that the Canadian game has. I don't want to change things, but I do ask if there's a reason for it. Tell me what the reason is for a yard off the ball. I'm not sure I know the reason. So if I can tell you a bunch of reasons why you shouldn't have it, and that's one of them. Tell me the reason why we do have it. That's the kind of where I go. And Dave Ned was one that was had brought that up, but I find it, not that was his opinion, but he brought up that question, and I wonder what that is, because I see a lot of reasons for it to not have the yard off the ball. But what's the reason to have it?
Well, this is what I heard when I first got in the league. And I don't know if this is true or not, but they said the yard off the ball was to give the Canadian offensive lineman an advantage because they were going against American defensive linemen. Because when I came in the league, it wasn't nothing but Canadian. That's what I was told. I don't know if that's true or
that's
not.
We got to go down this rabbit hole, Milt. We got to go down it.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you what I was told.
That's what we were. That's where we were going.
I'm not trolling here, boys. I'll tell you when I'm trolling. Ches, you can tell because you've been around me enough. Okay, I want both you guys playing the league, and I got a feeling I'm actually gonna be on the opposite side than you guys. But I was talking to an individual the other day who plays in the league, and he said to me, "This is a player." He said, "In my opinion, one of the biggest issues in this league is Canadian offensive linemen." And I was like, "What?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I've never heard that." Okay. And he's like, "You got to think, Luke. It's hard." He asked me, he goes, "How hard was it to find O linemen in the NFL?" I go, "Very hard. It's very hard to find. It's very thin. They don't grow on trees. Big boys, sure, but not like athletic big boys like that." So it's like, it's a huge premium in that league. Then you get to the second best league in the world. It's even bigger premium. And back in the day, the thought process was, you know what? We can hide Canadians by just getting the biggest, strongest bodies in there and put them there. But now, this was his, and I want to be very clear, this is not my take. In fact, I'm probably on the opposite side. I think I'm going to be in the minority here.
Was this Canadian or an American?
This was an American. And I don't want to say his name because it was a private conversation. Okay? But he said, now you'll sit here and if you don't have 3 stars of Canadian alignment, which there are some Canadian alignment stars, but they're very tough to find too. He's like, teams will rush 3, drop 9. Somebody, I got a thumb up here. Somebody will then sit there and go, okay, even though we're only rushing 3, we can still at least collapse the pocket.
Get pressure.
Get pressure, and you try being a wide receiver or a quarterback.
9. Yep.
And throwing against 9 dropping DBs. You got 9 Davis Sanchez up there sitting in zone coverage in 2nd and 7. And you got 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer. And I sat there and went, and my mind got blown. And I would like to hear from you two guys with a lot more experience in the league. If that is a real thing.
I'm going to ask Milt a question unprompted here, okay, Luke? And you said it. You prefaced this. You started this rant and this conversation by saying, I'm probably going to be in the minority here, and I might get in trouble for this. Milt, what have we said is the biggest issue with the ratio for the last, at least the longest time we've been working together? What's the one thing we say is the biggest issue with the ratio?
The offensive line?
Canadian offensive linemen.
Yep.
And offensive line. That is, we 100% agree that is the issue. And I'll further that. And look, again, we know how. I'll go into the Players Association, all that stuff after this. But the reality of it is, when you look at, if you have 3 guys from, and again, over the years it's gotten better. There's better players now, and Canadians are a lot better than they used to be. And that's when I first came in the league, and you first came in the league, you had 5 stiff guys playing offensive line and a Z receiver, and that was about it. And that's how they filled. Maybe a defensive tackle. That's how they filled it. Anyway, nowadays it's better. But if you have 3 guys from a U Sport team, and no knock on U Sport, but it's just the reality of it. 3 offensive linemen from U Sport, and you have 3 defensive linemen that are from the SEC. The reality is the edge is going to go to the defensive lineman from the SEC, and you're filling your ratio. You're filling your ratio with the Canadians, because that's probably the best spot where you can protect the most interior offensive line. To add to that, Luke, what's the most important position in our league? Right, Milt?
Quarterback. You're not protecting your quarterback.
How are you protecting your quarterback by putting the weakest players probably on your team, the biggest mismatch of your team? You also, as a league, want to have scoring and exciting plays. Well, you kill it by having not protecting your quarterback that runs the offense by putting your weakest 3 players on your offensive line.
Ches, you ought to be I thought I was the people's commish. You're the people's commish.
People's commish.
You are the people's commish, dude.
We all agree on
Yeah,
this.
definitely.
But like, how come how come I'm public enemy number 1? How come I'm public enemy number 1?
Because you're new. You're new.
Yeah.
Again, this actually could, you know what? This is actually a good segue to that. You know, it's kind of, you came in and like, why, what were you brought here to do, and why are you why are you the only one saying these things or saying it the loudest? Well, it's because it's the same thing for me in the NFL. Similar, not the same. I would say similar. I could say whatever I want to say about teams on Sunday after we do our head stack. I can say whatever the heck I want to say. This guy's a bum. He stinks. I can say whatever. I try to use those words, but
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want because no one. I don't have any relationships with these guys. I don't know anybody. It's on these teams. Well, it's a little different. I have to be a little careful because a lot of times in some of these rooms, most of the rooms in CFL, I've either played with them, been in the organization. There's relationships there that at least have you watching the tone or being cautious on how you say things, and that's I think one of the biggest things. But yeah.
So can we go back? I love that.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the O lineman thing? Because
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not, and I don't have the experience you two have. I'm not even close in this league. I'm not on the extreme bandwagon. Like, I do think, like, it gets weird to me, but like part of why I get jammed up with the Canadian O lineman stuff is because if there's like one passion that I have, it's like pass pro and like run blocking schemes, because I was like involved. Like, I really just found it fascinating when I was playing. And I was fortunate, like, bit of a controversial figure when he was in Oakland, but like Tom Cable was our run game guy. And I like loved listening to Tom. Have a lot of respect for the guy. So I'm like, I watch and I'm like, dude, like, some of it is the Canadian OUA stuff. I agree. And I love the OUA, but it's fallen. If you're not at one of 3 programs, it's not a good place to be right now. Okay. But I then sit there and I go, some of it is just pure coaching. These guys are shocked by a small little rap. Hey, and like you said, I got my hands full with this guy, and I'm like so locked in. I got to stop this SEC monster that I like. I'm not really thinking like, hey, if he goes here, maybe someone's looping here, and we're just getting beat by basic stunts. So, what is the answer to the Canadian O-line issue? That would be my question to you guys. Or is there one?
There's not an answer now.
I have an answer.
What's the answer?
Yeah, what I would do with that is ratio wise, I would say the max that I would implement a rule, and Stuart Johnson, listen carefully here. I would implement a rule that says you can only play maximum one national at per position, meaning you can't load up on one position of a national. So that takes, so you don't instead of putting 3 offensive linemen on, you can only play 1 offensive lineman as a Canadian.
I think that tweet might have come out for me the other day. I think I had 2.
Okay.
I had that exact, and my thought process is for all the people who disagree, all the people who think that's not a thing, it solves both worlds. One, it gets another Canadian on the field, and if the Canadian lineman is good enough to play in this league, with or without the ratio, he's gonna O-lineman on a premium. If you got one Canadian O-lineman filled, and then you got another guy where you're like, man, this is our best guy and he's Canadian, I'm assuming he would play. But then all of a sudden I got brought down to the Twitter rabbit hole of American coaches hate Canadians. And I'm like, I don't think that's a factual statement.
The American coaches that are here now have been here for
correct
forever.
Yeah.
So like, Ches, that's, to me, that right there is a really cool thing that I think the CFL should adapt.
But you can't look at that until the new CBA comes up. You can't,
Fair.
and that's what 2 or 3 years away. So we need answers now, which are pretty much impossible to get. The one thing, and you talk about the quarterback sneak, and I thought about that, and you can't totally take away the yard off the ball, but two things I would like to see. Of course, the Rouge, I'm not including now. I think that's the worst thing in football. But the two things I would like to see are, and when you get inside, when you're inside the 20-yard line, either way, I think that's when you get the yard off the ball. I think that's when you allow the defense to be right up on the offensive line. The other thing I would like to see, and this is really crazy, is yes, we are a 3-down league, but I want to see where you give the offense maybe 4 or 5 opportunities where they have 4 downs. Not 4 or 5 possessions, but 4 or 5 opportunities where they have the opportunity to have 4 downs, where they don't only have 3 downs, where they can actually see if they can drive the ball down the field, or they're in a situation late in the game where they can go for it because they have 4 downs. Those are 2 things I would like to see changed in this league.
So
that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. First of all, Milt,
Why is that ridiculous?
Those are the 2 most gimmicky, terrible ideas I've heard. You're gonna go 1 yard only when you get to a certain yard line. You go off the ball
inside the
you
20.
get 4 downs on at every even minute. 12,
it
14,
makes you
10,
strategize.
8, you get 4 downs. The rest of the time you get 3.
It makes you strategize. It just does something different.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Lucky you're good on broadcasting and you have a good smile, because you'd be a terrible commissioner.
This discourse here, boys, is what I think is great for the league. You say that on Twitter, you have 40 numpties come out on both sides and tell you guys that you're the biggest turd on planet Earth and you ought to go back to the National Football League, and now I've got CTE. Where I'm like, dude, that's a cool conversation. It's a cool conversation. You guys got a little animated, but it's great, and it's great for the league. Now, Milt, this one, and I've seen a couple tweets, and I want to clarify this from you. I want to push this button here. Okay? The final 3 minutes of a CFL game.
Best thing ever. Best thing ever, baby. Best thing ever. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. The hairs on my hair are sticking up. I know you can't see it.
Okay. Let's talk about it here. Let's talk about it real quick. I don't think people call me a cow. I got called out for this because I put a lot of disclaimers out there. I don't think the NFL's 2-minute rules are perfect. That's not where I'm saying with this. I'm talking strictly about the CFL. Okay? What I don't love about the CFL's 3-minute rule when you have the ball is the lack of urgency. To me, okay, what I would love to see is you come out here and it's like, let's go, boom. We get the first play, and you're talking about situational football. Hey, first play, we want to get a positive play. Then we start rolling here. What are our timeout situation? Okay, and Ches, how many times have you and me been on the panel talking about this coach blew a timeout, didn't do the clock management right? There's so many things that come into play. Okay, we got to get out of bounds here. We've got a minute 12. Bam, we're going to take this check down. Hey, we got to push the ball down the field. Okay, we got to get to line, call a play. Hey, we're hot here, boom. It's an electric 2 minutes if there's a crazy amount of urgency. Okay, so that's where, and again, I got jammed for this. When I'm like, dude, the 2-minute drive for Toronto in that game was a snooze fest. And I've watched it numerous times on the iPad I'm watching you guys on right now because I've got all the film, and I'm waiting for that moment where it's Arbuckle put his foot in the ground and delivered a strike. Or we drew up our 2-minute play and got Brissett underneath and he took it for 30. Or we got Mental down the field and are in the seam and we drilled that ball. It's just kind of think, okay, ball stopped. We're still doing the motions. Okay, think. And I'm where is it? Now the flip side is and everyone was how many games are done by a kneel? And I'm why would Toronto kneel there? I'm talking about Toronto's 2-minute drive. Okay? I totally get what you're saying. Not you, people. When it's well, the NFL, you get to 2 minutes, and trust me, there's been a lot of games where I was you get to 2 minutes, I'm on the field, and I'm bro, we get this first down, we take a knee, and we win.
It's over. It's
over.
Yeah, it's over.
So, what's the answer there? Do I think the 2-minute drives in the CFL are electric when you're down? I do not. I do not find them that, I do not find them very entertaining. Do I find taking a knee in the NFL entertaining? I do not. Like both can be true. And I'm not saying I'm right. This is just straight an opinion. But I'm like, I don't love the 3 minutes as much as you do. I'll stop. I'll let you go. But I'm just kind of like, man, I want to see the boys hum down the field. I want to see the ball push down the field.
The thing it does, it gives you an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity. You could be down 3 scores in the last 3 minutes, and because that clock is stopping, the fans are still involved because they know their team or the other team has an opportunity to come back because you have that time. So it gives you an opportunity to actually come back and win. Where if it wasn't that, like you talked about in the NFL, and I'm not comparing the two, the last 2 minutes, man, you get 1 or 2 first downs, and that's it. The fans are leaving.
Yeah.
The people, it's over with. So it's not going to always be an exciting last 3 minutes, but there's opportunities where it can be.
That's a fair point. And again, like, it's hard for me to push back on that. And this is like, again, we talked earlier about like whether you're watching the film and there's rooted in that or just basic opinion. Like, to me, you're gonna laugh, but if you are down 3 or 2 minutes, you don't deserve the opportunity. Okay. But I get where you're like, hey, and it was funny because I was talking to another guy, and I think this is kind of what happens with my dumb ass on Twitter is that people think I'm just like making this shit up out of nowhere. Is that allowed in the Milt? Be careful.
We're not on air. I'm gonna allow you to do it today.
Okay. Where I'm like, the background here is I'm talking to a lot of guys. Like, I'm trying to come correct, and then I put my own little twist on it. So I talked to a guy, I think he played 7 years in the CFL as an offensive lineman. Okay. He is Canadian. Now, I do like this guy. So but I believe he was with Tressman at one point.
Okay.
And he said that Tressman used to talk about the final 3 minutes as a completely different game.
57 plus 3.
Correct. And he was like, hey, here's our stuff for 57. When the 3 minute thing, everything changes. I never was coached by Tressman. I'd heard a lot of great things about the guy as far as his guru stuff goes. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, again, Mill, if you love it, you love it. Like, and personally, I would rather see, Trevor Harris or Bo Levi sit here, be like, yo, we're down 5. There's a minute 43. I've got 2 timeouts. Every second matters. I've got to find my way. Like, I'm calling plays at the line. I'm giving, hey, time to go. That was all our goes. Yo, time to go. We're running seams. Okay, I'm looking the safety off, trying to slide it in here. And you know what happens on the other side? Ches sitting over there like, hey, he try and float this. I'm squeezing the seam here, and if he tries to hit the flying dive behind me, I'm going to turn my hips and snag this thing. Okay? And it's like, that's where but again, I get like on the flip side, where like taking a knee kind of is trash. Not kind of, it is. Like, I get. So like, to me, it's just a difference of opinion.
Yep.
Is that fair? Is that fair, Ches?
Fair.
I think both of you guys I'm listening to this. I think there's good arguments for both sides of that, to be honest. I don't even have a strong take either way, and I hear what both of you are saying.
Yeah, that's the one rule I would never want to see taken out of the CFL games. Like I say, there are some, but that's the one that I bought into right away, and I'm full on board with that one. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah. We had you for an hour and 15 minutes. This has been awesome, by the way. Thank you for this.
Yeah. Boys, it's been fun. I am a bit nervous, man. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm active on Twitter right now. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to be received.
Oh, no, it's good. No, because we're having, you said it. Like, we're having fair and educated conversations. Like, it is what it is. I wanted to see if there's anything that, I got one more, but is there anything that you could think of, Milt, that you wanted to touch on? And also Luke, like, there's got to be something that you might want to touch on. I think we should get into.
This is a bit of a sensitive one here. And boys, you're in control. If we don't want to answer this, just edit
we'll
it
edit
out.
this. We'll edit this part out.
Edit
Yeah,
it
let's
out.
just talk. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but what do you think?
This gets a bit weird for me. Okay. And I do need to like understand the landscape. But one of the things that, and maybe it's just the way of the world now, that has blown my mind with the online community of the CFL has been how political it is. Like, when did this happen? Like, and it's not one side or the other side. It's all sides. It's everywhere. And I'm just like, bro, like, I'm trying to talk ball. I'm trying to watch, dudes from Western. I'm trying to watch my guy Devin Versuk from straight out of Windsor. Like, I'm
Right.
trying to see an old friend of mine, Kenny Lawler. Like, and I understand that like politics and sports do like intersect, and maybe there's something we don't want to touch, but like, or you guys could again be like,
Could
yo, this
could
is
could could you give us an example? Is that possible?
yeah.
Or
So like on Twitter, it's like, man, every other comment or like person who's like, you go on their pages and it's just like crazy political rhetoric. I mentioned the Hamilton Tiger Cats thing, and everyone, I've got 35 people being like, do you understand the economy in Canada right now? And then it's like, Trudeau jammed us, or like Carney jammed us. And I'm like, dude, to be honest with you, like, I was just, I didn't think that we'd go down this route. I didn't think that we'd go down the like, you know, oh, okay, like some people put in like the reason for fans not showing up is vaccine status, and it's everywhere.
yeah.
And I'm just like, what happened to just great Canadian ball here? Like, why is this got to be like injected into every CFL conversation?
People unfortunately don't know how to separate the two. That's what they have to do. They have to understand that there is a time if you want to talk the political rhetoric, you can do that. But they're incorporating football with or sports with politics, which I don't think there's a place for that, because football or sports is your getaway from the real world. That's how
Bingo.
we get away from it.
Yeah.
Those 3 hours you're at a game or playing a game is your way to get away from reality. So I'm with you on that one. Don't incorporate the two. There's time to talk politics, but I don't think it should be incorporated when you're talking about sport, when you're talking about somebody blocking scheme or how to run a route or something.
Yeah,
Leave the two
I
alone.
appreciate you
Don't
saying that,
intertwine.
Mill. Because that's been one thing where I'm like, man, I'm not really qualified on here to like talk politics. I'm
Most
here
of
to
us aren't.
I'm tired to talk
Most of
ball,
us
dude.
aren't. Yeah.
So I appreciate
Yeah.
you saying that, because I'm like, that's been one thing that's been really strange, is trying to like navigate around that on Twitter, where I'm like, man, this is crazy, dude. Like, I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I try to separate the two by all means necessary, because they shouldn't be intertwining at all, in my
I
opinion.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Ches, you said you got a couple. What's you got over there, man? What you got?
Yeah, it's good because it's stuff that it's I got just there's only one that I see that I think it's a must, and it's I'll just bring it in so we have a clean edit. 3, 2, 1. Luke, one of the things that let's go with this action. 3, 2, 1. You joined the team, Luke, and part of the reason I think that you've joined. Obviously, I work with you at NFL. You're a smart football mind. You get it. You're Canadian, but I think one of the reasons, or part of the reasons, you're brought to TSN, be part of the CFL broadcast, is because you have an audience that you bring with you. I think that mostly, I think a high percentage of people that are looking at what you've done thus far are fans of it, and I think there's people like what you're bringing. What would you say to the smaller percentage of folks that are saying that when you're talking negatively about the league, and when I say that, you would say it as being honest, but let's say that your honesty is something negative about the league, and that may sway a fan in Toronto, or a fan from the younger demographic who's on the fence of whether they'd like the CFL, and they value your opinion, and they hear you saying something negative. What would you say to those who would say that you might deter some people from being CFL fans? What's your kind of take to those? Like I said, I think more think that you're doing a great job, including myself. Think that you're bringing eyeballs to the thing, and conversations I think we had today that people love. But what do you say to that other fraction? Because there is that other fraction of people.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah. But what do
I'm
you think
not.
about the thought of it, though? Like the thought of
Yeah.
that your words might, because you do have a following, and especially the younger folks, that may sway some of them that this is a stupid rule and a stupid whatever it may be.
Yeah. Honestly, like, my intentions are not to hurt the CFL. That was probably what I would say is like my intentions, and I have never played in the CFL, which is a detriment in some ways, but also strength in others. But I am from LaSalle, Ontario, and like I said, I got a lot of ties to Canadian football. My highlight film that got me into a Division I university, I'm waggling on every play, boys. Every play. Okay? Okay, 6'5" at 17 years old, boys, hitting the line at full speed, running inside fades. Okay, and it's like, dude, like, I honestly believe that like what I'm trying to do, these small changes, these conversations, is for the betterment of not just the CFL, but kids like me that want to play football as a career. And it's like, I'm sorry that like it's not your favorite rule change of all time, or like I said something that annoyed you, but like I'm not really that sorry, you know? And that's probably what I would say. It's like, hey, like I don't really, and you mentioned it earlier, like maybe instead of like screaming at me right away via your keyboard from your burner account, take a look at like what I'm trying to say here.
Right.
It's not that I don't want, you know, I believe is it Tommy Stevens from Saskatchewan? Do I have that right? It's
Yeah,
not
the
that I don't want
quarterback.
Tommy Stevens on the board. And me and him had a small Twitter exchange. Okay. Fun Twitter exchange. Good one. Very positive. Okay. Funny. And I was like, you know, Tommy Stevens got some pretty sweet highlights at Penn State. I watched him. Okay. And I sent back. He's like, you don't like, it was kind of joking. He was joking, like, you don't like the quarterback sneaks? I'm like, it's not that I don't like the quarterback sneaks, Tommy. But when you got guys that can do stuff like this, and I sent him his college high school thing, I'm like, I'd much rather see you doing this than doing quarterback sneaks.
Right.
You know, and I'd much rather see like, dude, I'm a huge Adam Big Hill guy. You won't find another bigger fan Adam Big Hill than me. Okay. And I'm like, I would much rather see, I know he's playing in Calgary now. Okay. Big Hill coming downhill and being like, yo, it's 3rd and 2. And instead of a quarterback sneak, they've got like the Cam Newton downhill power coming. And Big Hill's got to fight this pulling guard and make a play on Tommy. So it's like, that's the place where I'm coming from. That's what I would say is it's not like there's way too much right now. It's a false narrative that I'm like coming to like destroy the CFL. I'm here to destroy the CFL and make it into the NFL. Nothing can be further from the truth, man. So that's probably what I would say is like, look where I'm coming from here on some of these things.
Appreciate you, my man. That was a
Yes.
good conversation. Thanks for taking
Thank
time and welcome to the team. It's great to have you, and
Yep.
thanks for chopping up with us on paper plates.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got one last quick one.
Let's do it.
What is paper plates?
We'll explain later. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. And we got one other rule. If you're going to be part of this, we gotta get rid of the hair, bro. The hair is killing you, bro.